Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Fear the Walking Dead. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, we're picking up in the aftermath of last episode, and Alicia awakes to see that everyone made it out of the building, and got her back to the beach because they're all trying to leave because all those walkers who are infected from the crater, the moment that they burn up, all that radiation inside of them is going to fly into the air. So it's they need to get as far away before it spreads that far out. And so it's right, the tower was supposed to be that new start, but in the end, it couldn't be. I think that's such a sad thing that despite everything that, Wes died for, but that was also a lot of his own personal stuff that was getting thrown into that. So it's kind of almost like what was it all for then at the end of it all when this is going, Alicia trying to make the tower the new Padre, it's all kind of lost. And in that moment, Alicia sees the little girl again that she saw before. And the little girl's looking for her friend, and Alicia follows after her. And kind of goes it alone. Because for her, it's right, I have such little time left. I'm going to do this. I'm going to save this little girl. I know I'm also going to... Because she... and I thought it was a really powerful motivation for why she's doing what she's doing. She's trying to protect everyone that she... she's trying to be the leader that she feels like she failed to be before with the whole cult situation, the beginning and the end, Teddy's whole thing. And so she wants to kind of make up for that and try to save as many people as possible. And that's what this was supposed to... She wanted to do something with a little bit of time she had left because she knows the clock is ticking down and it's right, I need to do this before I go. And the tower kind of fell apart, so her last attempts to do anything, and now it's right, this little girl, she saved me before, I can save her. That's all I have to do. I have to, I can do this one last thing. This is something I can do for sure. And so she's chasing after her, and obviously ends up finding Al's vehicle. I love that no matter what, it always kind of comes back to that. It's been in the... I was going to say the word I was going to use, the zeitgeist of the show, since it was introduced in season 4, and it's just it always circles back to being a hub of sorts. And Alicia comes across the little girl, but the moment the little girl didn't want to take the mask off, from the very beginning, when she met Paul a couple episodes ago, Paul was oh, that little girl you're seeing is most likely yourself. She's not real. But even then, Alicia's wait, no, she is real. I gotta save her, especially because the little girl's no, I was bit. I was saved by this guy, my friend. He can actually take us to Padre and everything. But Alicia's... Because now you're just wait, so what's the point of this? You're still that's got to be a young Alicia, especially because the fact that she doesn't want to take her mask off. It is interesting, too, that in the vehicle, Al's vehicle, what's the last tape that's left behind? Amina. I'd actually completely... Once again, I binged a lot of Fear, everything from season 1 up to season 6B, because 6B had just started at the time. So I a lot of that blurred together in some regard. So I actually completely forgot Al ran into Madison. That was a whole thing. Madison didn't call herself Madison. She called herself Amina. I forgot what that was a reference to. Was that supposed to be it was something I think Alicia related, wasn't it? Or was that just some name she came up with? I don't remember. But I'd actually completely forgotten about that whole element. Because I believe it was before Madison even got the idea to... I think it was while she was out trying to build... While they were building the stadium, she was out and she ran into Madison. She ran into Al, if I remember correctly. Because I don't think this is something they've covered since season 4, if I remember correctly. So like I said, a lot of that kind of blurs together, but because there's going to be stuff I end up forgetting. So do correct me in the comments down below if I'm saying something that's wrong, which I most likely am. But I'd just completely forgotten about that, because that's actually the title of this episode too. So Alicia is telling the little girl let's not go. We can't go to the tower. Your friend's there. Because she's there's nothing there. Let me get you to the beach at least, because we have to abandon all of this. But it's no, this, I survived this bite. You can too. You're not dead. We can, my friend, he can help you find Padre. It can be real, but we've got to find him. My friend's at the tower. And I was So why is it, because I didn't know, I was like, why is this trying to lead you, why is this all leading you back to the tower? Is it to try and warn people not to come to the towers? Like, because even she says later on, like, people see the tower is filled with walkers and on fire and they'll leave. But for a little girl, it's like, no, but even if they do, they won't know where to go afterwards. They'll just be in this area and they'll try to find somewhere else. And there is nowhere else, because even the tank, I mean, not the tank, the sub is a no-go. There's nowhere, you know, the underground passages are obviously, like, closed in, so you can't even, the ones that Teddy had set up, they are caved in, so there's no, like, I mean, those are a death trap, too, because they already led those walkers, like, 2 episodes ago down there, so there is nowhere in the nearby vicinity, to, like, bunker down with, so this is all that was left in this general area, so this was kind of like the Hail Mary. This was it. So if anyone does come here, they'll be kind of like up Schitt's Creek without a paddle, essentially. So, but when Alicia gets to the tower, well, on their way, a very important scene happened that Alicia, rather than shooting a walker, even though there was still a bullet left, because she's like, where'd you get that? It's like, I found. And she ends up trying to kill the walker because she's like, oh, the little girl can't reach it. It's like, well, sadly, the little girl doesn't have a sword like Judith does. You know, I mean, Judith had Michonne as a mom growing up. So it's like, yeah, of course, like the whole sword thing was going to rub off on you being like a weapon you carry around just so you can be more like your mom. Regardless, little girl ends up bashing it with a hammer in the end, but still. Alicia refused to use the bullet because the bullet is meant to be for her, because she doesn't want to waste it, because ammo's kind of hard to find, so she wants to have something on hand, something easier on hand that is like, right, before I turn, I can end it, because I don't want to become that thing, especially because she's having dreams and visions of becoming one, and she's afraid of, of death, essentially. I would more so like, not dying, but, well, I think dying without making sure everyone she cares about is okay, but also by making sure that she's able to do all that she wants to do before the end. But at the tower, she ends up passing out. But luckily, the others came for her, and they're like, we heard your SOS. She's like, no, that little girl's like, no, you're the one that killed all those walkers. And she's like, no, the blood on no, she's real, I know she is, but they're questioning, like, right, even if she is, like, do you really want to go back to the tower? Like, why is saving this little girl so important to you? And I think, even then, I think Alicia gave a response, but I think even then she didn't realize. I think it's still that thing of, I need to do this because I need to make sure if I could save her and her friend leads us to Padre, I need to make sure you guys are safe, that you have a place that everyone can go to afterwards, you know? And I love that while this is all happening, it's like, she's like, yeah, like her friend helped her survive. And the moment that conversation happened earlier, I was like, oh, Luciana. And of course, Luciana being there would have it's like, oh, I know I've been through that situation of someone claiming to have survived a bite and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, I was like, yeah, it's like, oh my, you almost forget, you're like, yeah, and that's where Luciana's story started back in season 2. You're like, man, I forgot about that. Because that's, in Bosch, that actor played Jimmy. He was a detective that Bosch ended up working with and crossing paths with a lot of times throughout the series. So it's like, hey, because I think by the time I binged this series, I'd already watched Bosch, so I knew him from Bosch first before I like saw him in Fear the Walking Dead. So I thought that was interesting. Nevertheless, so it was interesting, like, oh yeah, bringing that back around. But I also thought it was interesting where Daniel was like, right, I get it. When people kind of doubt you, you don't want to. It's kind of a bad feeling. And I love that Sarah's like, yeah, but Padre, you kind of weren't all there in your head at the time and stuff like that. He's like, probably still aren't. But everyone decides to go along because Daniel believes in her. And he's like, right, I'm not going to let you go through this alone. And Luciana goes because she feels like she owes Daniel after everything. I love everyone circling around, like kind of giving their reasons for going, because even Dwight's like, yeah, Sherry'd kind of kick my ass or be upset with me, and if I didn't go with you. And Sarah's like, well, I can't be the one asshole who doesn't go. So, they all go with her and clear the path and end up clearing the underground passageway that would lead into the tower. But even then, she still feels the need to go along because, once again, she doesn't want to drag them into a situation where they could all die because everyone has a reason to live. Dwight has Sherry. Daniel has Charlie. Sarah just got back with Wendell. And then there's also Luciana has to lead Arno's people. She's like, I got to do this. Like, leave me to do this. So she does. And she's trying to track down the little girl. And at first she thought this was about reaching a tower so that she could message out because using the radio up there, but the radio's destroyed. And it's like, no, my friend's in this tower. The moment she said, I was like, and it's like, who's your friend? Victor Strand. I was like, once again, showcasing the little girl is her. And she's like, no, we're not going to save Victor. It's like, you would rather die than save Victor? And then Alicia's like, yes, after everything he's done, it's like, no, I'm not going to waste time saving him. We just got to get out of here. But the little girl wouldn't budge on this. I was like, she's super stubborn. Very much like Alicia, which, once again, plays into the fact that it was Alicia. I was like, right. I was like, so why is your inner self trying to tell you to save Strand? And by the time she finds Strand, he's just laying up in the tower drinking because for him, it's like, right, he said, I did all this. I wanted you to have everything, Alicia. And Alicia's like, you took everything from me. And he's like, oh, is this about Will? She's like, no, this is about my mom. She sacrificed herself so that we could find a place like this. And it's like, we were given this life thanks to her, and like, what do? You did all of this with the life that my mom, and that's extra motivation. Why? Because it's like, I'm dying from the, and this, my mom gave me this second chance. She gave me this second life, and now here I am. I'm not able to do what she wanted to, because that's what the conversation becomes. Like, my mom was trying to build a place, and that's why she held on to the Padre thing so hard, because this has been a part of her since season 4, since her mom died. Because for her, it's like, I need to do this for her sake. What she was trying to do, I'm trying to carry that on. And now with a little bit of time left, she's still trying to do that, even with every little ounce of energy she has that she's passing out. I keep, once again, I think they purposely do this, but I think the shows do an interesting parallel to each other, because Alicia's whole journey this entire time, once again, like, there's so many parallels you can make to other characters, but I almost feel like, I think you can almost make a comparison to, like, Sasha when it comes to Alicia, but also, like, I think of, like, Rick's last episode in season 9. There's something to that where it's like, right, she's kind of hallucinating, he kind of hallucinated. That whole circumstance, which also, like, Grace's episode about Athena kind of flows into that a little bit as well. So does the whole thing with, and once again, even the whole sheriff or cop, once again, Rick survived, Dory Jr. didn't survive. Hell, Dory Sr.'s not even around anymore, which once again still throws me for a loop. I wasn't expecting that. If I were to all to come down to this, and, I think that's even more reason why Strand's staying in the tower is like, right, this is my baby, this is what I've done, because his whole point last episode too was, it has to mean something, because if it didn't, everything I did, well, that's more so Howard's point, but I think it's applicable to Strand as well. Everything I did was for this moment, for this tower, and if, but even then, it's like at the end of it, at the heart of it, even back then, even when he didn't want to admit it, it was all for Alicia, to show him what he could do without her. But it was also, everything was done in her name, because he does care so much for her. But he'd rather, like, die here in his tower, because he feels like this is what he deserves after everything, because he's like, oh, Alicia will never forgive me. And now it's like, right, you're the little ounce of strength you have left, you came back here, and now you're gonna die. And Alicia looks at that bird which she kept following, and she's thinking about what her mom said on that tape, which, once again, I don't remember the full context of it, but it was her talking about her children a little bit, and specifically talking about Alicia, how Alicia helped a bird, like, she kept the bird alive. And that's what this was all about. It's like, this isn't about saving Strand. This is about saving a part of herself that she was letting slip away. The part of herself that cared about people, that would not stop, would not give up on people. That's what the little girl represents. Represents that side of her. Like, you've been this person ever since you were a little girl, and you strayed and lost a part of that. And it's not just on her. A lot of people have lost bits of who they were over the course of the all of these series, you know, just because this whole situation takes away a little bit of you, who you are, you know, if you don't like hold on to it tight. And she was letting that slip away. Saving Victor, despite everything he did, is a representation of, I don't know, man. Like, would I say Victor? I don't know. But despite everything, what Victor built here is an example of, if he can be the one that carries the torch. She carried Madison's torch, and now it's like we were all carrying it, but we all strayed from it. But Alicia kept doing it, but it's like everyone else kind of strayed from it to some extent, and now Alicia's passing it on to Strand. It's like, you need to do what I can't do. I can't be around to do. You need to save everyone. So you need to build Padre. And because initially, her even breaking the glass and saving the bird, it's like, right. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna save Strand so he can save everyone. That this situation will hopefully snap him out of it and put him back on the right path again. But even then, Strand's like, they're never gonna take me with them. And Alicia's like, they will if I tell them to. And he's like, why did you? Your mother? I asked her before why she saved me. It's like, because she knew me. He's like, I don't think she really did, but you did. So I'm gonna ask you, why did you save me? She's like, it's not me about you, it's about me. I want you to be the one to carry on what I'm doing. Like, you'll be the one that has to carry on when I won't have the strength to. So, and I was like wondering if she was going to die then and there, but that will to live inside of her is too strong. Because in the end, she didn't want to die. She didn't want to become a walker. Like, she wanted to keep going. And at the end, I think it is beautiful, like, getting to talk to a lot of those people for one last time. You know, Sharon Dwight thanking her. It's like, right, for taking us in. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here right now. Talking to Morgan after everything that they've been through. She's like, I'm sorry I couldn't keep my promise at the tower. He's like, no, but you're getting everyone on the boats. That's what matters the most. And it's like, I heard whispers about Padre. It might be real, so we can find it together. But he's like, right. But Alicia's like, right, you won't do it alone. He's like, of course I won't, because you'll be there. And Grace says, like, don't worry, I'll make sure he hears that last part, even though he wasn't able to hear it. And then, like, her final moments with Charlie, too. I mean, and once again, like, that whole relationship and how that's all flipped around like this. But, obviously, Charlie's appreciative of everything because Alicia forgave her with the whole Nick thing, which that was also a thing, too. Like, her thinking about everything and everyone they lost, whether it's like the Will situation, whether it was Nick, whether it was her mom, thinking about Strand, thinking about Morgan, thinking about Luciana, thinking about this family of hers. And so, but Charlie being like, right, I was able to finally, get to see a beach. I was like, right, I forgot that was a whole thing. So she doesn't have much time, but Daniel, obviously he's going to be there for her, like he couldn't be for Ophelia, and then telling Alicia, like, we'll see each other again. And it's like, once again, it's beautiful because a lot of this is coming full circle in certain regards, even at this kind of end point here. And especially with, and once again, it's like, these are at least two characters, Daniel and Strand, who Alicia's been on his journey since the beginning. Obviously, she met Charlie and June back in the stadium, season 4. So for things to kind of be where they are, and it seems like this might legitimately be the end. And everyone's kind of getting ready to take off. And Strand's like getting in the boat with her, but she gets out. She's like, no, I can't take the chance. I need you to live. I need you to survive. I need you to keep going. God, I don't know how fast I'll turn when the time comes. And so she sends Strand off because it's like, right, I need you to be the one. And now it's like, right, he's given her, because this also gives Strand what he kind of wanted. It's like, you kind of have forgiven me despite everything that I've done. It's like, right, you can be the one that help everyone. And it's like, that's going to be a little tough situation for Morgan considering. But it's like, once again, it's like, right, Wes is dead, Will is dead, and just so much of what Strand has done, but he's been given his second chance. Alicia had told him that it wasn't just about you carrying on my mission. I saved you because I love you. You know, it's like, I thought that was a beautiful resolution to all of that. And it seems like this might be the end to their arc, and she's kind of waving him off goodbye, and she passes out on the beach, and you're like, damn. You're like, is this the end for Alicia? And she wakes up, and I almost wondered if it was going to be kind of like, because the whole Nick situation, his episode, his end, when he wakes up in that field where like he was with Madison, I thought that was going to be, which obviously there's an interesting parallel there, because obviously like Morgan was with him like at that end point and everything too. But regardless, the point I was making is, I'd initially caught the glimpse of Nick's last episode when it originally aired, but I didn't have the context of everything. I just knew that Nick died because I saw the tail end of it, because I think I was watching something else on AMC at the time, so like that, I caught the glimpse of that when I was watching something else. Like I said, I don't remember what it was back then, but at that point, when Nick wakes up at the end, it parallels with him dying, right? So I thought like, oh, that's him waking up in heaven or something like that, which, I mean, I think maybe you still potentially interpret it that way or something like that, but I didn't realize that was kind of connected to a parallel, like, scenes, the past and present, like, time he was spending with Madison in the field, along with there at the, like, that episode. I didn't know there were parallel things happening at the same time as what I was on. So that's what I was thinking, like, oh, is she going to wake up? Is she going to be in, like, some afterlife with Nick or something like that? That's what I was thinking. And for the little girl version of herself to be there, and it's, like, showing her arm, it's like, because even Alicia's like, wait, filling her head, like, am I okay? Like, I was like, is she dead? Or, like, what's going on? And it seems like her fever subsided, despite everything. And the little girl is saying, like, right, look at my arm. It's better. I'm healed. I'm doing better. And even Alicia's like, yeah, I'm feeling like myself for the first time in a long time. I think it was, once again, like, her need to, like, right, I'm on my last leg, kind of giving up hope a little bit about living. But now it's like, right, I know I still don't have much time, but I can make it count. Like, I think she was the turmoil and that war with herself, now that she's kind of become whole again, saving that version of herself, keeping her alive, it kind of, and it's like, right, it's like, it gave her body, I think, enough to kind of push through the fever. And it's like, right, maybe it isn't fully subsided, Alicia isn't saved, but I still have this time, and I'm going to make it count. Anyone that it might have heard my message, I'm going to make sure that they find out about, you know, because Morgan had gotten outside of the radiation zone out in the water, and once again, what he's hearing about Padre, and it's like, right, I'm going to tell everyone else about that, anyone else I find with a little bit of time I have left. So, and in that moment, that Walker comes up, she uses that last bullet she had locked and loaded, and kills it, because it's like, right, I have this life, I have this time left, I'm not just going to, I have this, I still have the mission, I still have something to do. So, is this the final Alicia episode? Once again, it might be out there about the actress, whose name actually is Alicia, might be leaving the show after this. I don't know. Like, this might be like her last on-screen situation, because you never know, because there's a lot of characters that just kind of like disappear into the ether until maybe they just something comes up and they come back. But maybe this was her final episode, kind of a goodbye to kind of bring a lot of those arcs and those connections and those stories between her and other characters, make them all come to a close, you know? So she'll still be out there, I think. Maybe she won't have an on-screen death. You know, maybe, sadly, it'll be off-screen. But, you know, I didn't even talk about it at all, and I should have. Like, I forgot, because I knew there was someone else that was there that helped Alicia. It was Josiah. It's like, wow, interesting how that finally kind of came back around since Morgan and everything between Morgan and Sarah and him. Which also makes me think about, like, all right, their dog. I was like, oh, God, that little guy, dude, I forgot about that. I was like, oh, I forgot, that was so heartbreaking. But yeah, like, is this the end for Alicia? I don't know. Kind of like almost like a Michonne. I mean, I guess this is almost like her Michonne moment too, because Michonne, you know, obviously, Denai Guerrera left The Walking Dead, exited The Walking Dead rather. I feel weird just saying leave, but it's just like, yeah, she exited The Walking Dead, and so I think maybe Alicia's in that same regard of like, right, she's out there in the zeitgeist of this universe doing something, but I don't think it'll be an off-screen death unless they decide to go down that route, but we'll see what happens. I mean, like I said, I'm saying all this, I haven't read anything, I don't want to know anything, even if you do know, you're like, oh, there's articles saying that, because because even if someone leaves the show, that doesn't mean like that character's still going to be out there and not dead. So they could always come back if the story or the actor decides to, and they, you know, that whole situation. But it seemed like this might be the end, but we'll see what the future holds. It almost makes me think of another game, a game I was that just, you know, it's like see you again somehow, somewhere type of situation. So that was kind of a beautiful wrap up in that regard. Interesting setup for the season finale, which once again, I'm kind of bummed I'm going into this with like spoilers in regards of knowing, like, once again, there's things I've known for like probably weeks and months now about that's going to come up, and I'm like, I wish I didn't know that, because it kind of ruins it a little bit, certain moments throughout this, because it kind of takes some of the oomph out of like some of the reveals I'm sure are going to come up in this season finale, just because I know certain things. Once again, if you don't know, if you've avoided all this stuff, it's like the damn Google alerts. I kind of like having the notifications on because it lets me, you know about nerdy stuff like that, but it also kind of ruins certain reveals and stuff like that too. So, but good comes with good and the bad with that whole thing. But, you know, I'm still very, very excited to see where the season finale takes us going forward with all of this. What ends up happening in that regard, we'll ultimately have to wait and see. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.